Presented by That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same World as an Anime Podcaster, this is Shonen Jumping the Gun, the show where we set our sights on the first chapter of a manga and decide if it's a misfire or a bullseye.
Let's see how many rounds are in this magazine.
On today's episode, we want a pitcher, not a belly itcher. It's Harukaze Mound. Welcome, everybody. I am the southpaw mirror image of an excellent podcaster, Moxideen, here with the coach that's going to take a bunch of ragtag weirdos to greatness, Isekai Sensei Sama Brad, and special guest, master batter and baseball manga aficionado, B!
I do love to master the bat.
Oh, I got my work cut out for me.
Oh my goodness,
don't I?
yeah.
But you got your work cut out for you. You haven't seen the bat.
Oh my goodness. Hi, everybody. Shonen Jump has, blessed us with a bunch of new series out of the blue, or maybe that's because I'm not in the loop as much. And as promised, however many months ago that was, I said when there was a new baseball manga that showed up, I would pull B back in, and here we are, and I have done as such.
One other aside before we really dive into this.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might notice that this episode is out a week late.
Oh, that also.
So we got a little confused about the dates.
Yes.
That's mostly on me. I got really confused.
But I also was confident. I also agreed with you and was confident from asking around.
And so last week we just couldn't make it work. It wasn't going to work out at all. So we decided to push this one a week. That said, I don't think anybody has ever spoken to us about if they like these coming out the week that the new series drop or not. So we've mostly just been doing that because it feels like the right thing to do.
It feels like I'm a journalist on the beat,
Right.
even though it's not journalism.
So since this one's a week late, this is a prime opportunity for people to let us know if they in fact like that.
If I'm putting extra effort for anything.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a certain, I don't like it when it's dropped on me so suddenly, especially last week, which I guess very fitting to this. I was at a bachelor party the day before and went to a baseball game, which is going to, spoiler, greatly color my feelings about this manga and the sport of professional baseball.
There is part of this where it's like, I want to record the episode as soon as possible because if I want to read the series, I don't want to have to only read the first chapter and then wait.
But it also kind of dropped on us.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, so get ready. This is one of four in a row.
In a row. All of a sudden. I guess this is time to talk about Death Squad. Super Psychic Policeman Shoujo. Dead. Embers. The only other... technically... Blue Box has come out now, so I could say...
Yeah.
Technically the only pure sports manga in Jump until now we have Harukaze Mound. Dead. What was the third one? The third one was dead. F.
Oh,
we talked about it.
Sidcraft.
Yeah,
they just
dead.
Announced that one.
The two most recent ones outside of Star of Beethoven. Star of Beethoven,
which is probably dead next week.
Almost assuredly.
Shh, we don't know yet.
My beautiful baby. We haven't heard it yet, but it feels if Embers is going down, I don't think not the podcast for it. B, you guessed it on that episode. Hey, it comes back around. So yeah, sports in Shonen Jump, not doing great. Baseball in Shonen Jump. B, what were you telling me before we started this episode so we can get it on the hot wax to tell the listeners?
Okay, so I want you to imagine that the year is 1998. Things are both better and worse in different ways.
I'm 5.
I'm 8. We have the start
I was 47.
of what is...
Wait.
We have the start of a really strong period of baseball manga. Rookies starts by Masanori Morita. Base Boys starts and dies the same year. Ignore
Base
that one.
Boys?
It ruins the narrative. But then
all
in
your
2000...
Base Boys belong to Bus?
Base Boys. Possibly the best title for a baseball manga ever.
And it completely failed because it was by a mangaka who just isn't particularly interesting.
They should have saved that title for a better series.
So Rookie starts in 98, ends in 2003. Mr. Full Swing starts in 2000, ends in 2006. Those two are able to coexist for years as like fairly popular mid-list titles in the magazine.
I could not imagine two sports manga of the same type in Jump at the same time, both surviving.
We had multiple Exorcist manga in
the same time. Maybe they should make an Exorcist sports manga. That's what you got to do.
I would read that.
There was a point back when I was born where you not only had two semi-successful baseball series, but you also had two semi-successful boxing series at the same time. So it's like, in the same issues, that would be 4 sports titles, and I think there was still like one more sports title in there, and there was only one flop in the magazine back then. Like, there was a point where sports were the thing, and in some magazines they still are. In Shonen magazine in particular, it absolutely is still like a hot genre. Shonen Jump, not so much. But yes, so we had this hot point, 2 baseball series coexisting. They're not lighting the world on fire. It's not a golden age, but it is impressive.
Yeah.
2006, Mr. Full Swing's wrapped up, and things start going wrong. A couple months later, you have Overtime debut by Yoichi Amano. People might know them for Stealth Symphony or doing the current Metaphor Fantazio manga.
I just started playing that video game.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Racism. Who knew?
Yeah. It's
that's what the game is about. It's about racism.
It is increasingly
who knew?
painful
That's the
to
joke.
play.
I'm making a joke.
Okay.
So over time, this baseball series it bombs in 3 volumes, complete flop,
Like the normal
and
standard,
then silence for 7 years, no baseball. Smokey BB debuts by a pair who had been thought of as quite promising. They'd had a series about a witty monk beforehand with a name that's kind of a pain in the ass to say, so I'm not going to bother. Kai Banashi Hanasaka Ikkyu, I think. Smokey BB not only bombs within 2 volumes, so does worse.
Goodness.
But also the authors have never returned.
Oh, nice.
Anywhere.
Failed so badly, we don't want to invite you back ever.
All of our listeners who overlap with Shonen Flop know Smokey BB very well.
Terribly translated. One of my earliest blogging experiences, back when I just started doing my own manga podcast, long ago, sort of, well, I guess it would have been 2013, so 2012, 2013, when I was doing it, was about baseball and Jump and how I was really excited for baseball to come back because Smokey BB looked quite promising.
Oh, no.
I was never more wrong.
You just delete all those posts.
Yeah.
2 more years pass. Kaito, an author with a level of esteem, they did Cross Manage, which people really liked about lacrosse and romance, and they were a former assistant of Akira Romano of Hitman Reborn fame. Does a baseball series, Buddy Strike. 1 volume.
What? Wow. It's getting worse.
1 volume. Not just that.
It's a U10 club.
You die club.
You think of Shonen Jump authors as getting 3 strikes and they're out. Kaito never returned to Weekly Shonen Jump. Just went, I'm out. Shonen Jump Plus. Here's my fairly gay sports adjacent series, Blue Flag, which is great. Read Blue Flag. 6 years
Happy
pass.
Pride Month.
And then you get 9 Dragons Bull Parade by Shibi Fukui, which you shouldn't really have ever expected to succeed. They had a time travel baseball series in Shonen Sunday just beforehand that had failed within 3 volumes. It is really hard to get cancelled in Shonen Sunday that quickly. Really hard. And so 9 Dragons Bull Parade also fails, but because this is at a point where people are paying more attention to
I was going to say, I believe that's
Jump.
the first one you've mentioned that we in the West automatically got localized as it was coming out.
Yeah, because why the hell
Jump
would an American publisher take a chance on a baseball series? You know, it's like, it's such a minor sport to you guys.
Yeah, right. I hadn't even heard of it until we covered Rookies.
Yeah. Which is absolutely bizarre. But then again, big silent period. 9 Dragons especially hurt because that came after the first ever break in sequential publication of sports manga in Jump. As when Haikyuu ended, that was it for sports until Blue Box came along with It's Not Actually Sports. Which is awkward at best. And so now here we are, 2025, and I am older, flabbier, increasingly ill and desperate for baseball to work in this magazine. I have baseball elsewhere. There's great baseball manga in so many other magazines and websites. Jump Plus has a good one. Young Jump has a good one. Sunday has one of the best of all time. It has major seconds. But somehow, what I really want is a weekly Shonen Jump baseball series still. And so...
It just feels right. Except obviously it hasn't felt right for multiple decades.
And it never quite lands because the children are wrong. They don't understand what they have.
I'm going to state this already at the top. I was thinking this moving into this. I'm sorry, but I have a feeling I'm going to play the heel this episode. I do not think that since we have started the show, have gotten a great sports series. The closest we have, I should say, a great shonen sports series, so I don't have to think and qualify why Green Green Greens doesn't count for what I'm talking about.
I mean, Green Green Greens is a Shonen Jump series.
Correct, but it is not like a shonen sports series, if you understand what I'm trying to, capture here. In the vein of all these other greats you have described.
I hear you. You're kidding yourselves. Yeah, absolutely.
But no, tell me, since for the last, almost 2 years since we've been doing this show, name a great sports series. Even if it died, name a great sports series.
A great one.
Not a good one. I'm not counting. As much as I enjoyed MMA, it has to involve a ball or similar apparati.
Okay, if we exclude martial arts, I'm absolutely willing
in this case, yes.
As far as great ones go, it's slim pickings. But then if you were to also ask me if there's been a great series from Shonen Jump in the last few years, I would be like, no, the magazine's in possibly one of the biggest lulls I've ever seen.
Kana Banashi.
Well, no, that one's been going. I do I think Kana Banashi is an all-timer. I have to get back on. I'm just waiting Kagurabachi for the anime.
I really like Kill Blue. I think Kill Blue is fantastic, but that's an author who's been around since 2008, and it only does okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, are we qualifying what we think is great, or what is actually doing the numbers to say that?
I don't think we've said is great, and then maybe... I mean, it didn't have to live. Green Green Greens didn't live, but we said it was great.
Yeah.
And I hold by that. But I don't think we've gotten, there's a bunch that I probably don't even remember that we've covered that I've forgotten because they were here and they were gone. So.
And I mean, it's all subjective. If we're talking objective
of course, exactly.
markers...
It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what I feel about it doesn't matter if it lives or dies and gets to go further.
If we're talking how things are selling, then,
thing.
If we're talking how things are selling, the market is so utterly balked that it's impossible to say if something's doing good or bad, because when I came into the scene, One Piece was selling 4 million a volume in Japan, and that was nothing. And now it does under half of that because, frankly, ain't nobody got money in Japan right now, and the print market is devastated.
Among other places.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, the world's fucked.
With that, let's actually start what's going on. So, Harukaze Mound was written by Togo Goto, what a name, and arted by Kento Matsura, who also worked together on Phantom Seer, which ran in Jump for 30 chapters back in 2020. That was before we were doing this, so I've never touched a piece of it. I know nothing about it.
Put it on the list.
Not a sports manga, so interesting.
Yeah, you absolutely need to do it. I'll get to it later, but part of the reason I have some faith in the fact this might do well is because of Phantom Seer, but later.
Interesting. Okay.
We have a gigantic backlog, by the way.
Yes. Okay. Maybe we're getting something to do with it. Okay. I want to start for these new, just for Shonen Jump stuff. Not in any other magazine. I don't want to do this, but I want to start listing out who the translator was, the localizer, because I feel like we're going to get used to hearing those names a bunch, and I like having another go oh, I recognize you. So Harukaze Mound was localized by John Wary, who has worked on many manga, but pertinent to us is Aliens Area, Demon Slayer, Golden Kamui and Dog's Red, The Elusive Samurai, later Jujutsu Kaisen chapters, Komi Can't Communicate, and One Punch Man.
I love this guy. He's great.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Wary as a translator for knowing to stay offline when the discourse surrounding their work is the most toxic out of any translator in the business, despite the fact he's perfectly fine as a translator.
He's great. I was sad when I went Googling for this information that mostly came up was people bellyaching on Twitter and Reddit about him localizing the later Jujutsu Kaisen chapters. And I'm like, I've read all of Golden Kamuy and all of Dog Ears Out. Those are great. Those are fantastic. I've read a lot of these, and they're great localizations, because Golden Kamuy especially has a lot of heavy lifting to do, and it does a great job. So,
as it turns out, when you step in as a translator to a series after a pedophile gets removed from it, you don't have a lot of their notes to work from to make sure you're maintaining consistency.
Probably wouldn't want to touch those notes anyway.
No. You don't know where those typing hands have been. Okay. With all... Oh, goodness, this is such a... Baseball. To get into this, let's get into my patented...
Oh, you don't want to talk about the letterer?
I had the notes, but then when I did the notes for the next one of the letterer, I'm like, I don't know what a letterer does or how much they have an impact on the way I take in the story.
I mean, they're basically an artist.
They are.
The letterer is Phil Christie.
Yeah.
That's how the name is said.
Phil Christie is absolutely spectacular, a complete veteran of the field at this point. So the thing to remember with letterers is you can forget a lot about what they're doing, because A, it's an invisible art a lot of the time. If they're doing a job well, you're not noticing, especially because what they do, less in the simulpubs, but definitely in the volume releases, is redraws, where they're
Sound
literally
effects.
having to make their art replicate the artist's actual work to make it look seamless.
Oh, I didn't know that was what that job also did.
When you see it,
get sound effects in it. It's mad.
Because we never see those, because I only ever write
because they're not fonts. They're literally drawn.
They have to be drawn.
Yeah.
If you ever want to see something amazing, look up. Brandon Bovia did a whole bunch of posting about the Transformers manga, like the old classic one that was re-released in hardcovers. Brandon Bovia did the lettering and retouches on that, and the work involved is nothing short of fucking magic. Like, it's, if you ever want to learn about how crucial manga lettering is, like, that's the place to start.
Well, and I always wonder...
I'll keep shouting out then. I feel bad. Thank you.
And I always wonder when I see that, if, like, do the official letterers get a clean version? Like, does it... does it not have the letters? Does it not have the SFX?
Like, everything's digital now, so
they literally have
the
to
text on a layer.
It depends. So, are you aware of the new series from Akira Himakawa, the two women who did Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess? They do a series now called Kamudo. This is very notable because it is one of the first series anyone at Viz has had to work with as freelancers, where they actually get provided with layered files to work from.
Yo!
Like, that's how rare this sort of thing is. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you'll get that with other works, but never to the extent they're getting it now. Often, you will be sent, like, what you would think of as the manga raws, like, a short while in advance of release, basically, and, like, they'll be working off of those, which means a lot of, like, here's a sound effect, I need to erase it, reapply the screen tone in a way that looks natural, and like get the other sound effect on top. Like, it's mad work. They do not get paid enough. No one in the industry gets paid enough. They are about 2 decades behind on the rate of pay increases that there should be, and it's not getting better.
The reason I'm so curious about that is because one of the things in the scanlator community that, like, sets a scanlator apart from others is if they do redrawing for SFX.
Usually if it's like, does this hurt my eyes to look at just the text? It's like, okay, if it's bad, that doesn't speak well of the translation being
most of the time, the lettering is pretty straightforward because it's speech bubbles. You just paint.
Sometimes people still mess them up.
Yeah,
maybe
definitely,
because it's their old one and they're working out of like GIMP or MS Paint or something. I don't know, but sometimes
so many scanlators still use GIMP. It's unreal.
I mean, it's free. Many times you get to the end of a chapter and there's like the credits page or whatever, and they're like, yeah, that one page I just didn't do the redrawing because that was crazy.
Yeah, no. And sometimes I can go, I respect that. It wouldn't have helped. It wouldn't have helped. Just tell me what's there. There's no reason to redraw all of the letter you're looking at. Definitely
respect for the official letterers, especially in this case, Phil Christie. Good job.
Thank you, Phil Christie. And with that, finally, we're going to get to my patented Moxie's
Before we do that,
no. 3 strikes and you're out. It's the Moxie manga Scrubberine. Watching the high school championship finals at is it Koshin? I'm sorry. I've seen this word since reading iShield 21 when I was in junior high.
Koshin.
Sure.
Koshin.
At Koshin, for baseball, twin brothers form a dream to play there together. In that moment, a promise is made as brothers. Chapter 1, Opposite Twins. Scouts are here at junior high practice to see younger brother Harukaze Kazumi, a third year and top in his generation, pitching incredibly. But they also see his older brother, Nagaharu Kazumi, shadow pitching very goofily as he attempts to copy his brother. We're told he's a southpaw. It's Nagaharu's turn to pitch. He tells us that growing up, they were the same in every way, from size to liking the same pop idols. Even their pitching form is exactly the same. But Harukaze is the ace, and Nagi is terrible as he pitches 4 balls in front of the scout. Balls as it, I mean, he's pitching baseballs, but they are balls, as opposed to fouls or strikes.
Strikes.
Correct.
What's the likelihood of the audience knowing baseball terms?
I don't know.
Literally 0.
After practice, Nagi is still reviewing the tape. He must have screwed up his form. He needs to exactly mimic his brother to get it right. He's determined to catch up to his brother so they can go to Koishin together, just like he promised. Cut to later, and we meet Ibuki Hayama, a recent transfer and also third year. He was a national athlete and legendary catcher in grade school, but disappeared in junior high, also very notably short. I need to take a small sidebar here. Who is a legendary catcher in elementary school? Is Japan just insane?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I just how do you know about a legendary elementary school baseball player? They're playing t-ball. Like, what are they doing that's so incredible that it's like the legend disappeared?
The problem is because school sports series are usually aimed at like kids to teens rather than teens to adults. You have to start them being notable younger.
Yeah, because he had to disappear to reappear.
Yeah,
and it's like.
But it's all about trying to capture that sort of, I guess what you'd think of as like a college basketball, college
it's supposed to build that, but it's also just like, oh, he's not a pitcher, he's not a hitter, he's a catcher, and it's like, I know catchers do incredible things, but like, what incredible things is an elementary school catcher on a baseball team doing to become notable?
He was able to catch the ball.
He caught that ball.
As opposed to all of the other children.
Had another shonen protagonist from a different magazine. And baseball manga, who is the pitcher who pitched super fast, that he was, whatever, that's another baseball manga.
The catcher, he never once picked his nose or wet himself in a game. That's what made him notable.
Exactly. This Ibuki character, he's had his eye on brother Aokaze and calls him out that he's been holding back for a certain someone. At first, Aokaze blows him off, but then says, "Be careful what you ask for," before throwing a blazing fast ball to Ibuki, who catches it without issue. There you go. Why don't you always pitch like that, Ibuki asks. You should go to the same high school as me so I can get you to your full potential. Aokaze says no thanks. He's going to Hojitsu and calls on his brother for backup, but he doesn't respond.
That is one thing that catchers actually do, is that they are generally watching the other players and can give good advice. Yeah. So I thought that was a good line to go down for this character.
Nagaharu is spaced out, lost in thought he'll never catch up to his brother. You were really holding back because of me? You should have told me. You go on to Hojitsu and forget about your pitiful big brother. This pisses off the younger Kazumi brother. What about that promise you made? Did you even mean it? Cut to practice the next day. I'm done for. Cut to practice the next day, and Nagaharu is begging Ibuki to check out his pitching. He wants advice to catch up to his brother. Ibuki thinks getting in good with Aokaze's brother could get him closer, so he agrees. He asks, "Can you accept that you can't be like Aokaze?" Before throwing him into a grueling fielding balls drill until, after a while, Nagaharu throws back a ball that catches Ibuki's attentions. Cut to 1 month later, on the day of an official game. Aokaze is pitching poorly. Maybe he pushed himself too hard? He hasn't really spoken to Nagaharu in all that time. He has to catch up. Nagaharu asks the coach to put him in. He won't keep Aokaze waiting any longer. They're up by 1 with 2 outs, but with runners on first and second. This is a make-or-break moment, and he's ready. Aokaze has noticed something has changed within his older brother. Nagi pitches a blazing fast underhand throw and gets a strike on the batter. We flash back to Ibuki talking to Nagi. "Dude, you're left-handed. Your brother is right-handed. Duh. Even though you were practically identical in all ways, even if you copy him perfectly, it will never work. You have to do your own thing." Ibuki found that during that fielding drill that Nagi's natural throwing style when not thinking was underhanded, so focus on that. All of his practice finally started clicking into place, and he became an incredible pitcher. He is going to be himself. Nagaharu strikes out the batter, wins the game, and his brother, smiling, welcomes him back. What an interesting pair, the orthodox and irregular pitcher brothers. A week later, we learn Nagi did get an invite to Hojitsu, but Ibuki is here to try and coax him to a different high school that is just starting up a baseball team. And he wants to make a super team of, quote, outsiders, like the two of them, to beat all the conformity teams. Cool plan, right? I already have some hot prospects, just need a pitcher, so how about it? End of chapter 1.
I wonder what decision is he gonna make? Obviously he needs to go to the...
That
interesting concept? No, I don't want to do that. I want to do the boring choice and go with my brother.
The fun thing is that to anyone who is quite into baseball manga, it's actually a really refreshing twist to present the idea of splitting the twins up. Are you aware of the sort of baseball manga goat that is Mitsuru Adachi?
No, we did not really get any baseball manga in the West in the time that I was growing up. It's one of the weird like big sports that I'm just like, I can't think of, like, a manga doesn't just instantly come to my brain of like, football, Ice Shield 21, baseball, I just said baseball, I was about to say football. Okay. Volleyball, haiku. Well, I mean that wasn't around when I was growing up, but it's like tennis, Prince of Tennis. The third one that my brain has just decided to memory hold now that I've started talking.
I'm really wondering when you're going to get to soccer.
Oh, Slam Dunk for basketball.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
I think we got Captain Tsubasa. Maybe I'm just only hearing about that.
We only just got it now, but
okay, then we had a soccer one. I don't know what it was.
So this is like legendary baseball manga creator. In English, if you have the Viz Manga app, you can read Cross Game, which is one of their more notable works. Very good stuff. Highly recommended. But crucially, their most legendary work is Touch, which is a popular Shonen Sunday baseball series about, if you can believe it, twins with very different skills and personalities aiming for the Koshin. And it keeps them together, kind of. One of them's like not quite wanting to be on the team at all because he's like more the slacker type, but it builds up. But it is also notably more tragic than what we've been given so far, so fingers crossed it doesn't go that way. So this evokes what is the second most popular baseball manga of all time, but then puts the twist on it saying, and now we've put them apart to make them rivals, which is like, or are potentially going to.
I think if that's where it's going, that is a thing that I want to like give such credit to, because as Brad can speak to it, I love a good rival, and making your brother, like your flesh and blood, your rival is like, why have I not seen this? Like, why have I mean, I'm sure it's in things, but it's like in sports or otherwise, it's just like, what a perfect thing of just you're together all the time and you're both gunning for the same thing, and then you get split up on separate, whatever you're doing, and it's like, that's so, I love that. That's such a good storytelling piece.
It's because you hate medieval fantasy. And there's so many medieval fantasy where it's like one prince versus the other prince.
Yeah, because princes are stupid.
Princes are stupid, it's true. Prince of Tennis taught me that. He's a dumb guy, but he wins all the time. And he goes, give me a break. And you go,
you could be gaslighting me right now, and I don't know. But I just thought that was like, for a rival, it's like, here's a ready-baked rival for you right now.
And it's seeded really well, because you're being shown how impressive Harukaze is as a pitcher, but he's like this intimidating death stare, sort of like when a villain in Bleach has turned up ink brush stuff going about when he's pitching, which is like great, because when that's on your team, you're like, oh, cool, he's a cool guy. But then you think about it and you go, oh, he's kind of like a rival villain sort of character once you separate them, and that's scary.
Yeah.
He's going to be so angry.
He's going to be pissed.
Because he wants to go to school with his brother.
You know what this reminds me of? Beast Children. In that way that guy, his rival, tricks him to go to the wrong high school.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what's happening here, but that's all my brain could think about when it's like, you should come to the high school with me. Don't go with your brother.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. Sports is, as a like manga thing, is so iterative that like you will always have this one thing reminded me of this thing, and this thing reminded me of this thing.
It's very
because
like they're certain
all
pieces.
Going off
That's
the same
why
paper.
You need a fantasy baseball thing. So you break a lot of the normal rules, but you still get to play the sport.
No, I'm such a purist. I want the sport to be the sport, and if you want to do exciting stuff around it, that's great. But like, say for example, there's a really, really good series. It's a baseball gambling manga called 1 Ounce. Everyone loves it. But I don't want a gambling series. I want a baseball series.
Yeah, but what if you played a baseball game and you fought an evil spirit in that? What if the Jujutsu Kaisen baseball game was the entire series and everybody used their wacky powers?
That sounds terrible, and not just because I don't like Jujutsu Kaisen.
What if you got summoned to another world where baseball is war?
That was great until it got awful. Until it did things it didn't need to. Okay. I don't even know where to go back in on this. I liked the brothers thing. I liked the whole Southpaw, the mirroring bit was fun. Like, and they we're so the same, except it's like their personalities are very different. Which
I loved that they actually explained your organs are different sizes on different sides. You can't perfectly mirror it.
It's like, don't you just sometimes forget that you're full of stuff and it's like in places? It's like, I'm reading it and I was like,
I'm full of stuff.
I never forget I'm full of stuff, but B, to your point, I sometimes forget it is in places. Like, genuinely, it's like, oh, this is all arranged. It's not just one mass of meat. There's all a bunch of little thingies going on, and it's just like, I don't think about that.
The only normal time I think about that sort of thing is like, say, if I'm having a moment where like my heart's racing or something, and I'm like, am I dying? It's like, which side do I worry about?
No, it's my arm for me. It's always like, oh, my arm hurts. Oh shit, which is the side where I'm having a heart attack?
Yeah. I get that a lot as I have like tendonitis in my right shoulder, and so like my right arm will tingle, and I'll go, hold on, no, it's left arm, isn't it? Yeah. So
There's
the interesting. Oh, sorry, you go.
Oh, just as far as the left-handed thing, I have seen before where they'll do like, oh, the guy got shot, and then it turns out that like his internal organs are mirrored, and so he didn't actually die or whatever.
His heart was on the other side. So.
There would be an interesting through line there where
somebody got shot in this manga.
Well, no, but it would be like a similar thing where they're mirroring each other, but it actually works because his organs are mirrored too.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess
they wouldn't act. Well, I guess they'd be.
Somebody's superpowers, they're the true chameleon, they mimic everybody, and to do that they move their own organs around. They're just that good. Again, this is the like heightened reality sports series that I want. Insane grappler Baki shit happens.
I'm dying to tell you about Kirara right now.
Get it out, B.
So this is a baseball manga from I want to say the 80s by the author of Black Angels. He was also the artist of Doberman Decker, if you've heard of that one. That was written by the Fist of the North Star writer. And it's a baseball series where he's at constant risk of death because he's been like fatally poisoned. And I'm just like, it wouldn't be that absurd, because I'm pretty sure either he gets shot or someone else does in the middle of a game at one point, and it's just like, you just take it as accepted. It was a massive flop, but that's not the point.
So he has to keep playing to not die from the poison? Or
no, playing is killing him, but he ends up surviving at the end anyway, because, you give someone a happy ending when you're cancelled.
So not a crank situation?
No,
the opposite of crank.
Though.
Yeah.
Canark. If the K was silent, it would be narc, which would be appropriate for like a drug. It's not important.
I think the K would probably be silent.
Okay, so I like the brother rival bit. I like that whole I like that he's a lefty, because you get told that early. That's not an ass pull.
Fraternal versus maternal? Is that
what
the type of twins?
Y mother versus
not
cloth
identical.
mother?
They're not identical.
I'm just saying
but they were born
concepts
at the
now.
same time.
Which one is fraternal twins? Is
fraternal is they don't look the same,
isn't it?
Yeah, fraternal and identical.
Fraternal.
Oh, okay.
I also like that the lefty who's the worst in the situation is quote unquote the older brother. I dug that.
Well, I mean, in Space Brothers,
I was just actually I just thought it was just as that sentence left in mind. I'm like, what's up with Space Brothers too? I'm like, why did I think that was unique?
I think it's generally more impactful if it's the older brother who doesn't have their shit together.
Yeah, I guess they're brothers in baseball.
Yeah.
I like
not twins in Space Brothers.
What? They're not twins in Space Brothers. You're right.
So the distinction that one of them is older here is it's like
not as meaningful, but
it still works.
It still works that the older brother doesn't have his shit together. And I like the ending bit that the Ibuki guy is getting, like, let's get the team of weirdos together, because it's like I want to root for the weirdos. You don't want to just all the regular killers.
Because you
want the
read
weirdos. You want a Bad News Bears.
iShield 21, but baseball.
Yeah. Like, that's why it's fun to build the team, and if you're explicitly going, they're going to be weirdos, I'm like, hell yeah.
It's like you want strong personalities. The problem is if like in Nine Dragons Ball Parade, you spend too long setting that up and then you're not actually doing any baseball. And, like, I think it's so reassuring having Ibuki be like, no, I've already got some guys in mind, which is like, great, cool. So we'll have the team and we'll have some games happening soon, right?
It's the forever...
they played baseball right away.
Sports Arc has forever ruined me about what a sports manga... Like, I think genuinely it broke me and I just don't like sports manga. Because I loved Rookies because they spent so much time not playing baseball. But it's like it's the grand thing of, do you speed up, do you do the groundwork and build these characters, or do you go play sports? And if you're doing the one, you can't really do the other one. You can do both of them at the same time if you're really good, but it's hard to do that and you need momentum going, so it's how fast you get there. And this is where I gotta play the heel, because I'm coming off the grounds of seeing this baseball game. Oh my gosh, guys. Baseball is so fucking boring. Both of these teams that are paid. This was the Phillies. This is a team and some team from Canada. I don't remember which one. I think they were from Toronto. These are people who make their living playing baseball. I think collectively between both the teams, I think less than a dozen balls were hit that mattered across the entire game, and it was just like nothing's happening.
Toronto Blue Jays. The Maple Leafs are hockey.
And I was just so bored. Nothing happened.
The joy of real life baseball is so different to the joy of baseball comics. Like, they're two separate disciplines to love.
Correct.
Because like, if you're loving baseball, what you're loving is having long periods of enjoying the company of others and eating some food and drinking some liquids.
Yes, correct.
I don't know why that was weird
because
to
it's
say.
so hot out. Why is it so hot out?
Well, that day it was cold because it was raining, so we were chilly, and I was wearing shorts and had no jacket because I thought it was going to be nice, and I was wrong.
Whereas, like, the joy of the heightened pace of baseball comics is what you're instead getting is a bunch of deeply emotionally entwined people who are then having to be spread out upon a field so that they have to communicate at a distance with their hearts, with their souls, making everything work.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. Follow-up statement. The number of states a baseball game can be in is smaller than most any other sport.
Wrong.
Because every single player on that team is different. And so you take all of the different states that it can be in and then multiply that, almost completely multiply it by the number of players you have.
I mean, yes, but
not quite, because they normally play the same positions.
There is a hitter and they have to hit the ball, and I guess they could bunt it or they could foul it, but it's not like, hi, broken record Moxie here. I'm always going to go back to Ice Shield 21. In football, it's like, you could throw the ball. You could tuck it off to the side. You could run. You could hand it to your running back. You could do a blitz. You could kick it. Like, there's so many more moving parts at any given moment. You could be fucking tackling into somebody. You could be jumping to catch something. You could be spearing into somebody to knock him down. And baseball just has so many less, as compared, like, describing it like a video game, it has so many less verbs inside of it.
But what it has instead is combinatorial madness. You have the amount of outs at play, the amount of fouls you can have at play, which are theoretically infinite if you can keep achieving fouls. You have where into the field you hit it. You have the positions of players. You have how many people on bases. You have attempts to steal, and how the pitcher and the catcher have to react to that in different situations. You have the types of pitches, which are myriad and often depend on the shape and flexibility of the person, what whip-like motions come naturally to them. You have batting styles. You have the difference between southpaw and right-handed. I don't know what you call being
normal.
Normal. Fucking hell. Like,
we're all righties here, right?
The magic of baseball is in how the different factors combine. Whereas I think something like American football is more distinct and separate in how all the pieces play together. So everything is a different strategy. When you're thinking of, is it a blitz? Is it a passing game? Is your running game strong? Do you rely on your safety? You know, like it's a complete different world. Like, you're aiming for the downs to go and make it that extra 10 yards each time till you get to the end. Do you go for a kick? Do you go for a touchdown? Like, that is more intricate, but I think you're only ever planning for one thing at a time, whereas in baseball I think there's a lot more situational awareness of everything at once.
It has to hyper-magnify, but also because you're doing it a play at a time, and it's only the pitcher pitches a ball to the batter hits it, and then the field activates. But until that moment happens, unless there's
American football is exactly the same as that.
I think it's more
yes,
about...
but because it's like but it's the idea is that once the play starts, like 24 humans or whatever the count are now all scrambling to do an activity right away. Where baseball, it's just the batter goes up, the pitcher pitches the ball, the batter hits it, and then if they hit it correctly, the field activates. Otherwise, it's still only 2 humans doing the thing. And I will counteract my own thing because the thing I complained about it when I was there, that a story of baseball fixes is that you get to Harlem Globetrotters or you get to pro wrestling in which a story will play out by virtue of the sport.
Right.
And it won't be like this game I saw, which was just dull, dull and boring and as heck.
This is I have to agree with B about the intricacies that you can have going on and how that can make a really good story.
Yes.
But it's also the worst thing to watch in real life.
Yes.
Yeah. I get it. So, like, the joy there is like you hit the nail on the head in one very crucial aspect. Sports comics are all pro wrestling. Every single one of them.
Because I was like, this
wrestling.
could be interesting if you could make it actually have a narrative that felt like things were happening and not just, oh, that guy didn't hit the ball. Oh, that guy fouled 5 times. Oh, then he got struck out.
Yeah, I don't want to see an entire baseball game in a manga,
Yeah, but at the same time, sometimes the narrative of a baseball game could be good. I mean, if we go back...
any sport could have a narrative.
If we go
you get excited when the bases are loaded and the guy comes up that can hit a homer, hits it, but just everybody's batting average is so low that everybody coming, you see that number and go, I'm depressed.
Sometimes the narrative can be simple and compelling in a specific way, such as, fuck the Yankees, oh no, they're beating us, oh no, they've beaten us, which is the joy of being an Orioles fan, It doesn't always go well.
You should try having more money.
That's the key. The key is always to have more money.
But all of this is why hockey is the superior sport.
But
because things are constantly happening and punching each other. That's why it's like one of the few sports that it's like that is not pro wrestling that'll go, I'll go watch that, or the Harlem Globetrotters, or maybe the Bananas if I ever get to actually see them.
Weirdly, hockey doesn't lend itself so well to comics, which is really bizarre.
No, because all the best parts of Dogs Riders are not when they're playing hockey.
Right.
Exactly. Which is, I think...
Hockey just happens to be there.
The more boring the sport, the better the manga is.
The more you can go do other things. Well, also just be the author of Golden Kamuy, and you've already made an incredible thing that I love.
Well, that's the thing. He'd already made Supina Murata. He'd seen what does or doesn't work with an ice hockey manga and said, I'm going to remake it, and this time fuck the ice hockey part off a bit more.
Yeah, it's the culture of being like the ice hockey, like I like the things, whatever. Not important. We're not talking about this game. My heel-ness about baseball aside, you did. I'm really glad that you counterpointed me so eloquently and well. Like I agree with what you were saying. I still hate baseball, regardless. The thing I will say is that this reminds me of Embers in that, and every it's usually grounded manga that show up in Jump, and maybe in other places, but this is the place where I'm reading new stuff that may or may not be good, because otherwise it's just not going to come on my radar because I'm not paying attention to other magazines. The first chapter where time is just fuck it. It's it's a day later, it's a month later, we're at this thing, and it's just it's the first chapter. Give me, if you're going to move that quickly to get there, just skip all this stuff. Don't. I just got in. It's either slow down or just skip this and get to where you want to be. Because otherwise it just feels like time and space and everything is meaningless. It was a month in between when Ibuki shows up and the older brother learns that the younger brother has been pitching worse just to not make his brother depressed. And then they're like, we didn't talk for a month. And it's like, you live in the same house, you're grade schoolers. What the fuck?
I think that's it. They're grade schoolers.
I'm not saying that it's explicitly the problem that they're grade schoolers and how do they not talk, but it's the sensation of time is just passing and there's no sense of again, Shield 21, shut up me. It just it was the same thing with Embers. It's just time. We just kept hopping from thing to thing in chapter 1 where it's this is chapter 1. This is where you want to build your foundation of what's going on. And obviously you got to snare people in there. But it's the same problem I had with Embers that I just lost interest because it's just everything feels like mumblecore because everything's moving so quickly and nothing feels like it has stakes because it's just I need to get to where I'm going. So it's a day later, it's a week later. We're doing this now. And it has no sense of I don't we have a main character, but I don't feel attached to them. I feel like I'm in this sort of gaseous form floating above going, oh, I guess we're over here now. Not oh, we were practicing all week. We had a montage in 2 panels, and then we got there. It just feels oh, we're over here now. Oh, we're over here now. It just feels very ethereal, and I don't like it.
That's funny, because you are right in that it sort of just jumped forward like that with very little fanfare. But at the same time, when I was reading it, it didn't really stick out to me. Like it sort of felt like.
But that's the thing. That's with Embers. I notice it more like subconsciously, and I've noticed it enough time in different works.
I did notice it in Embers.
I'm noticing it more specifically, where it's just like I feel untethered from everything because the river is moving too quickly at its speed that it just decides at times, and not just like
there was
time doesn't feel real.
There was one part that did stick out to me though in a similar way, because there was a transition from one scene to another on the page turn, and I went back and forth. I was like, wait, what just happened? Because it wasn't clear. And that's something that I've been complaining about in older series.
This is a new manga,
yeah, right? So it's like, oh, well, don't always get it right.
But you're making thinky faces. What are you thinking of my time-based criticisms?
I'm trying to decide between whether I want to be sardonic or sincere on some level.
You are free. You are free to do either. We like sincerity here.
I much prefer being sincere, but sometimes it comes off as very sarcastic. Okay, so
you can do both.
I think on some level, I'm a little bit worried that this is a flaw that I've missed because I read more comics than anybody else I know. I'm very used to the concept of the gutter. So, you guys know what we're talking about when talking about gutters in comics, right?
Yep.
Brad's very aware.
Yeah, the gaps in between panels. And
I thought you meant like really shit manga. Like genuinely, I'm not joking. That wasn't a bit. I genuinely thought you meant really.
No.
I'm sorry.
The margins.
Yes, the margins. Thank you. No, gutters is
gutters is the
gutters is the correct term for it. I'm not. I don't want to make sure.
Hmm.
I want to make sure that one was me. That one's egg on my face. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the gutters, the gaps in between panels, and the fact that they can represent any imagined amount of time between panels. That is the thing that it is the core thing that makes comic storytelling one of the greatest storytelling mediums in the world, is that it lets you play with time in the most fluid manner that you see on the page as a thin gap. Mm-hmm. And so I don't sweat the passage of time too much. Like if I can tell it's a different scene or a different moment, and however amount of time is, I'll roll with it. If they say characters haven't talked for a month, even if they are twins, that presumably they might even share a room, you just sort of go like, well, he's told us it's true, so I'm just going to be like, yeah, sure, kid, I believe you. Great. Yeah, you've not talked to your brother. It's probably just not about the sport. They'd probably still be like, oh, have you done homework? Yeah, yummy cereal. You play into the dramatics of a kid.
Yeah,
I think that's it. You go. I have. That gave me an epiphany about what I feel like is missing.
Okay,
I'll
go through this really quick.
Yeah.
The thing with the scene transitions and stuff, because you're spot on there. Like, you can do that in any way you want. The thing that I sort of takes me out of it is when those transitions, whether it's scene to scene that's like a minute later or a month later, is where the panel transition is just very abrupt and doesn't sort of look like just one panel to the next in the same scene. Or rather, it does look like one panel to the next within the same scene. So you get to the next panel and it is a month later, but you're going, wait a minute, what's going on? We were just doing yeah.
I've figured it out. Because it's not just a lot of time, it's because I'm like, why does it feel so ethereal? Because it's like you can cut forward, you can have montages, it's like that. I don't have like a problem with that. There's nothing in the in-betweens that is not baseball. And I feel like
they're not living their lives.
I saying the word humanity is too big of a hammer to be wielding here, but like
no, that's fair.
We never have a moment to spend with him in not the context of baseball.
When you say that, is there any scene in this manga that isn't on the baseball field?
Like it's is it the Bechdel test that's for women in writing?
Yeah.
It's like a weird version of that I'm sure B has a perfect term for, but I'm not going to put you on the spot. So if you comes to say
the baseball test,
it's a sports manga test of just does somebody have a conversation to a non-sports player about not sports ever?
It'd be like the anti-Captain Tsubasa test, because all anyone lives in that is football. Anything outside of it, it's like, here's my wife and child. You're like, but they're talking to you about football.
I'm going to look this up.
So this is,
and I don't know, but I don't know if I don't know if this is me, like, because it's the feeling in my chest of just like I felt like I missed something that I never got. Like, it feels shitty to just go, I never got grounded in this, but it's just like I never felt like I attached myself to the main character to be like, oh, I want to see him succeed. Like I kind of did from like a distance, but I think it's just because I never saw him in a context that wasn't just he has a brother and his brother is playing baseball. Like,
okay, I've scrolled through the whole thing. There is, in fact, there is a single scene where they are not on the baseball field. Can you guess where that is?
When they're kids,
when they're
start
sitting in
watching
front of the
baseball on
television
TV.
watching baseball.
The very first panel.
That says baseball on it! That's a strikeout!
And they're watching baseball, yeah.
Okay, so
But they're not on the baseball field.
This manga loses the sports Bechdel test, whatever that means. I don't know yet. I've just invented it.
You're onto something so interesting here, because I was talking about Touch as being like a series that this is iterating upon. And the thing with that is that has a lot of human drama outside the games. We've talked about Rookies, which is all human drama, no sports.
For like 7 volumes, I love it, until the translator changed.
I think that's crucial to a truly great series, but annoyingly, I don't think that's the environment that Weekly Shonen Jump in particular can foster anymore.
But nobody's written those. That was why that was my essay point at the start of all this, is when has somebody written a great sports thing in Jump in the last, 2 years, because that's when we've been paying attention to it personally, but like, we keep getting mumblecore ones because they just focus all their energy on, we're doing the sport, we're getting to the sport.
Yeah, because the genre
never spends any time making you actually connected to the characters, so you care that even if all they end up doing is sports, your first chapter is the most. It's like, what's their home life? And I don't need I need all their parents' names and all the It's like, just give me a grounding moment of that. It's like you get it's what I loved. Admittedly, it's not a sports manga, but like Blue Box is just like, oh, I'm leaving home. Here's my little, you just give me a couple ones. Like Green's kind of had it. I wish it maybe had it a little bit more, but it had it enough.
Did it, yeah.
Where it's like, oh, here's his home life a little bit. It didn't spend a long time. You know what I'm gonna fucking invoke right now? Keijo. Keijo grounded itself in humanity.
Damn.
Am I wrong?
But this is the problem. Because the thing is, it's both historical and based on the current failure of sports series. Because Captain Tsubasa is the gold standard for this particular magazine and was not concerned with home life in any meaningful way. And then as you get to the modern things, Haikyuu, which is the last successful sports series in the magazine, was so volleyball focused nearly all the time because the main character was obsessive to the point where one of the only real humanizing moments that didn't directly involve volleyball was being in Brazil and being like, hey, we both like One Piece, there's a cultural touchstone for us to both interact on. Which is just Shonen Jump propaganda.
No, it's true. I've experienced, honestly, side note, I don't know if this goes right now or later, I've honestly experienced the globally across cultures moment of we both love One Piece. No joke. I'll talk later.
Oh, I moved to the entire other side of the planet, and One Piece was a cultural touch point to meet people.
That was incredible.
That's how it goes. But I don't necessarily see it as a downside, because what we get instead of these humanizing moments is an incredibly efficiently told story that manages the two key things you really need for this sports manga to work. First of all, the battery. You get the catcher, you get his relationship to the pitcher, you get it built, you have the balance of power established, that's there, and you get the twins. That is far more efficient than most Shonen Jump series have been with their first chapter in ages. It comes at the sacrifice of a lot of personalizing stuff, of a lot of heart, but it's sports manga. The heart comes when the games start, so the quicker it moves to that, the better.
We played 3 games in this chapter.
No, not real games. That doesn't count.
It
won't count afterwards as well when you have internal things.
Coming where I take this essay point and I go, let's look at this one with this one and go, did we like it? Was it successful? Did it pass the sports manga Bechdel test? This manga has the Bechdel test. There's no women in it. That's not important. That's really not important to anything I'm saying. It's just funny to point that out there. It's not important. I don't want to feel like this manga fails because it has no women in it.
Quintessential Shonen
Jump.
The problem is that so much of your comparison points for sports manga are fucking failures.
Yeah.
So it doesn't do a lot. It's like going, Green Greens did it a lot better, and it fucking died on the vine for
but Green Greens didn't pick a fun sport that children like and play.
No, it picked a sport that's had like 2 successes in the magazine, which is a bad idea.
I wanna get B's take on this, okay? Because we've been arguing about this for a while
what's this
now.
one gonna be?
So, as far as like what we like is concerned, we obviously dropped the whole idea of like how well is it gonna do in Jump?
Because it was just depressing and it didn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
However, I have posited that while we shouldn't really concern ourselves with if Japanese teenagers will like it, there is a certain level of care we should give to it, because if we like a series, we want the Japanese teenagers to also like it so that it will continue.
Yeah, we capture that with our thinky thinks and our feely feels.
Okay. But you have yelled at me about that.
So, like, the whole thing is I want the youth to like it, but I've had to accept the fact that I am twice the age of the main audience for the magazine. And so, like, I have a disconnect from what they like. That means I can't predict that they will. I can only hope that they will. And if I were to ask myself, say, with this particular series, do I think this has something the kids will go for? The main thing I've got is sibling rivalry and that horrible thing where you want to be good at something that someone else you care about is good at and you can't do it, which is, I think, really effective and is maybe a little denser and more interesting than the sort of stuff we're seeing in like Ota of the Flame or My Hero Academia, where you just have main character's a good guy. Yeah. You know, it's just fuck that. So Ota of the Flame is fine. I've dropped it.
I've also dropped it. You're fine. The art was fun. I liked the art.
I really liked the art. It reminded me of It reminded me of 2 authors I like more.
Art on this one. Art feelings to attempt to land this plane a little bit. To get to the landing
gorgeous.
strip.
I don't know if I would go to gorgeous.
I need to look at it again. It's been a hot second.
I think it's higher than workmanlike.
It's got more personality than workmanlike.
Yeah.
I do not want to.
It's detail oriented without being unwilling to play with bodies. Which in a baseball manga, the most crucial thing to me for anyone to be able to draw is 2 things. It's one, it's can a human body turn into a whip, and number 2 is can the pitch that follows that human whip look like the coolest fucking thing you've seen. Mm-hmm. And we don't get a lot of pictures in this, but the ones that they do show off, they pass the smell test.
They put some stuff to it. They put some oomph on it. They put their ankle
it's got the stank, like it's real good. So I really liked the duo's previous series, Phantom Seer, which was able to do this in what you'd think of as the horror of replication of this idea, which is when the ghost reveals itself, can you put so much detail in it that you shit yourself, which it managed pretty well. Whether that's the reader or the artist is up for debate, but regardless.
Which is shit.
I can't help you.
The really awful one we hated immediately.
Most things.
In Jump?
Yeah, on that island and...
the fucking Dear and Enemy.
Dear and Enemy is so garbage!
Which is
Let's review it again with B, and all 3 of us will stomp it like that JoJo Part 5 meme.
So, what I said with that one, like, I believe I said it in the episode, is like, I hate this art, but when the monsters come, they spent a lot of time on the monsters, and the monsters
and nothing else in that story.
But I hate that so much, Brad. I hate it so much.
I don't like it.
Because it's not that they're drawn well. It's that the artist just goes, I need to make this look good. Let's add more fucking lines to it.
Yeah,
like this is different. This is detail oriented, but in ways that make sense and don't necessarily lower readability. Yeah. There's some stuff with the panel to panel storytelling that isn't super great. But that was also the case on Phantom Seer. So this kind of feels like maybe the artist hasn't grown a lot in the time since, but it's relatively promising. And crucially, through having read Phantom Seer before this, I know that this level of detail can maintain over the series run.
Okay, that's good.
Like,
That's good to
because
know,
there's always that
doesn't
worry
happen.
that they just start like smoothing out and removing, and like eventually it either looks completely different or it looks unfinished. So
Well, and having
I'm
the
optimistic
duo,
on that front.
you know,
Yeah,
a
'cause the
specific
writer
person.
can write it.
Right.
We've seen a lot of duos. They're not always duos, but a lot of recent Jump series have been writer-artist duos, which I've appreciated. I think it's neat. But I feel like sometimes that can lead the art to be more interesting, and sometimes it can be like, this feels like not as I mean, I'm always going to like idiosyncratic art over not. I like seeing fingerprints, metaphorically speaking. And this one's good, and I wish it was a little bit more.
I would liken this. I liken this to when they are adapting a light novel, but they're like actually paying money to do it.
That is actually a really good. I like that as a descriptor
because
I
like
feel that fits it.
the artist is
It's
like,
good.
I'm
very
doing
competent, very capable.
The one that we covered that I thought you might like, but you didn't, which is all of them.
Correct.
The hundred. He gets kicked out of the party 100 times or whatever. That one.
I hated that one. Yes. Yeah.
But that one, like, I thought the art in that was like similar to this, where it's like, this is very, very competent. It's above workman, like
professional.
It's not amazing because it doesn't really do any kind of cool style stuff, but like, this is the pinnacle of doing exactly what you're paid to do.
It's art that lacks personality, and not that it's bad at depicting personalities of the characters, but it lacks a certain like, oh, this is this artist.
Yeah.
I think I would say to that, Chapter 2, it's got some stuff. It's got some stuff.
Okay. Well,
but I'm not allowed to
talk
include
about
that.
it on mic, but
on the
Brad and I
face of-
might have a conversation about it.
On the face of Chapter 1, I kind of get it. Like, there's nothing that feels particularly iconic. The best I can say is the colouring style for the opening pages is really good, but it's primarily a black and white series, so what's that fucking worth?
What do we want more of and less of? It's we're just gonna hit the big. It's a sports manga button. They do the sports manga thing.
So we touched on this a little already. They do nothing but play baseball.
Yeah.
Basically, in this chapter, I have a feeling that David will like this.
How does he like that?
Well, because he always complains about them not playing the sport.
We yell at him. They never play the sport. All the greats never play the sport. Slow down. It's almost like all these die because they're not doing the thing that makes it work.
It's like you always have to run it against the gold standards, right? Slam Dunk, rather than giving you the sport, literally has the main character fuck up the one move that the series is named after.
Give me somewhere to go. Give me a reason to root for him and somewhere to go.
iShield 21 has the main character lose a race against a train door, but that's fine because he doesn't die. But they then still get to the action quicker afterwards. The big fear, my biggest fear, is the thing that every sports manga fucks up massively, which is you say, oh, let's have all the team members get to know each other by playing each other in a game. It sucks. It always sucks. And it kills momentum because instead of getting to move on to actual games, you've got like infighting among the characters, which at the most you learn about their
between
flaws.
the characters that are supposed to be getting along, but not in a way that's like that compelling. Usually,
I feel like if it's gonna have to do that because the whole idea is they're volatile personalities. But if it can at least do it quick, like don't have a game, have a couple of gimmick things, you know, like I don't know, they have to do a training exercise that bonds them all in the end, like because baseball's, as we've established, pretty fucking long.
Yeah.
So I think the quicker the team's there, the quicker the things are in place, quicker you get to the games. That's great. Maybe get past one game, have a thing afterwards where they all go for fast food, and there, which would be end of Volume 1, start of Volume 2 sort of area, you go, now here's the characters outside of a game, which is a really big ask of audiences to wait that long.
Yeah.
What if there's not a single scene in the entire first volume that they're not on the baseball field?
Then I will be fully erect.
B, not around the children. No. Paint for me a coach. What's the coach? Who's the coach? Who's the adult? Is there adults? Did we have a named adult that wasn't the baseball player on the television? Again, none of my points of things being there or not being there doesn't like, oh, you didn't. I hate criticism as math. I hate story as math. It's not like you didn't have this and it didn't work, but it's like, these are things that I'm pointing to of just like, did we have an adult that
I
existed
think it was
as a
just
person?
that coach or the scout or
The
whoever
scout,
he
who
was.
was just a scout. He might have had a name. I don't know.
I think that's a fair point because, like, Strikeout Pitch in Jump Plus on the Manga Plus app, one of the most recognizable and enjoyable characters is the female coach who's always drunk or appears to be drunk. Like,
we haven't had our
a
girl
good adult
manager yet.
in the scene is excellent.
I said, yeah, we haven't had our girl manager yet. She's got a lot to freaking bring to the table with the other manga that also came out that we'll be talking about in the next episode you'll hear, listener.
Yeah.
I want to get to talk about that one, everybody. Let's finish.
It's going to be a much
one.
quicker episode, I can tell you that for fucking nothing.
I don't think so. We'll find out. It's baseball. I want you to have more life outside of baseball and less baseball. I don't like baseball, but baseball could be cool, but I need other things to care about the people playing baseball, and I don't yet.
I like baseball manga infinitely more than I like the actual sport of baseball.
Okay. Thinky thinks and feelings feels. Brad, go so you can show B how it's done.
I think that this is good. I also feel that it's good. I don't care about baseball. I don't really care about sports. There was enough compelling stuff in here that when I was reading it, I was into it. When I finished it, I was like, okay, yeah, I can be into that. If I wasn't terrible at reading things in Jump right now, I would probably just continue to read this week to week.
Mm-hmm. B, what are your thinky thinks and feely feels? If you need clarification of what that means, I can tell you.
So I think what think is realistic expectations and feel is emotional expectations. Like
you could have something that it's like, I think that this is, middling, but I feel like something can be your favorite, but you can kind of exit your body and go, this isn't very good, but I love it. Or like
objective thoughts versus subjective thoughts.
That's a very good way to put it. There was the Sabis and Abis doesn't roll off the tongue as much. I think this series is like absolutely put together, but for what it is, for me personally, I feel like it's terrible or something. That's not what I'm saying about this. This is giving an example of the extreme. But sometimes they're in alignment.
Yeah. I think this series has the goods. If you want me to put it in the most objective terms possible, the team that did this, when they did Phantom Seer, which was like cancelled at 5 volumes or whatever, when 4 volumes of it came out, they had 250,000 copies of that series in existence, like in circulation. Not sold, just printed. So either these guys were on the verge of being big and their series got cancelled regardless, and so that momentum carries across here, or there is a warehouse full to fuck with copies of Phantom Seer. So on the thinking level, I think this has the goods, and I think the world is in the right place for it to succeed. On a feeling level, it's a baseball manga that's challenging the curse and Jump. Like, I can't have anything other than love for it. Like, it's the one of these in time since, which I know it's not a lot. I listed 4 others during the curse period, but this is the 5th now. It's the one that I think I can see the most quality to, that I think has latched itself into me the most, which feels pretty optimistic. But it's modern Jump, man. Like,
it's how you feel. Who cares? I don't give a shit about what the Jump is. I can't. Your feelings are your feelings. They do not have to. They do not have to fit to reality. I've yelled at Brad multiple times when he said how he felt about something, and I had a conniption because I felt like it didn't match the entire conversation we had. I don't
just get yelled at
how do
all
you
the
feel?
time,
How do you
so.
truly feel in your guts, unaffected by reality around you?
I feel like this is my favorite thing I've read in Weekly Shonen Jump in the last 2 weeks. Now,
in the last 2 weeks, that's not very long.
It's only been around for 2 weeks. Now, I do only read 2 other series.
What are they, though? Honestly, though. Let's
Kill Blue and Hematen, which are both stellar.
Strange.
I know, right? I was reading Ota of the Flame, but I've got bored of it, and I am going to catch up on One Piece again at some point.
I mean, you should, but yeah, give it time.
But so
not going nowhere.
Not into Akane?
Not Akane? No Akane?
It's not that I'm not into it, it's that I had a massive burnout and decided I had to say to myself, what are the things I most want to get back onto? Yeah. And the answers were surprisingly those 2 series.
I can't talk because I will constantly go, if something's not working for you, cut it. I guess I'm just very surprised that the 2 survivors were Kill Blue and Hematen. But you know what? If you're enjoying them, I don't want to get in the way of
it. It was always going to be Kill Blue. I'm a massive fan of Tadatoshi Fujimaki. Like, it's He's not done a single series I don't like because I understand the complications in attempting to do positive racial depictions of characters and completely fucking it up. Twice! In 2 series he fucked it up. But not in Kill Blue, so Kill Blue is good.
Good so far.
I'll give you this. So I have been having severe executive dysfunction for Shonen Jump recently.
Because it's a terrible magazine right now.
No,
that's not what he said, B. That's not what he said.
It's because my brain doesn't work properly.
Yeah.
So I got really behind on lots and lots of things. And I am like, I have to catch up on things. I like these things. I should read them. Stopping me, brain. The only thing that I got caught up on was Kill Blue. And I was 16 chapters behind.
It goes down very easily. Like it's not that it's lacking in like density, but it's just an easy read.
Yeah.
And like I think it helps that every step of this is the saddest thing to possibly say because it's just confirming so many biases from certain parts of the community. The fact that the author's values clearly align with my own in several ways on the page.
It is a constant, just
really
like, I
easy.
almost did a thing that you really don't like in a bunch of other manga, but I didn't do it, and I turned the corner in a really nice, validating way, and I went, thank you, manga, for validating my beliefs, that normally you don't do that at all.
Across all his series, he's like demonstrated himself to be like one of the most left creators in all of Weekly Shonen Jump history, which is bananas to me because the main things people associate him with are 2 really bad depictions of black characters. But he was trying, which is the thing.
People are complicated.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to bring us back.
Thank you.
So I believe we can solidify B on great and amazing.
Yeah, I would say so. As much as there's nothing. I think this is good. I feel that it's fine. Parentheses, I'm rooting for it because B has such hope in it, and that fires me up, so I'm rooting for it. I feel it's fine. Parentheses, I'm rooting for it for B's sake.
That'll do.
So I wouldn't buy this. I wouldn't buy the volume.
I would not buy the volume. I will continue to read because that's now not a given for us. Because like Oter, I touched chapter 2 and went, oh no, and then I didn't touch it again. I kept reading Star of Beethoven.
It's not that I don't want to read it because I'm going,
but I don't trust it.
Most likely. I don't think this is something I would want to really own in any way.
Also true. You just don't like sports manga.
I most likely wouldn't
in a non-judgmental statement.
I wouldn't like reread it. So yeah.
If one of them gets hit by a truck and becomes a dragon, better?
I mean,
what?
Generally speaking, yeah.
Okay, there we go.
For me,
that's
I'd buy that one. I'd buy that version.
What happens in chapter 2?
I'm guaranteed to buy this. Not just because I buy it.
You're like spiritually speaking, I feel like that's important.
But like
the word wouldn't be right otherwise.
I specifically have a shelf on my Bookwalker account that is just for baseball manga. It's got 133 volumes on there. Like, I will buy a baseball manga.
So I have 134.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, it's going to go more than one volume, I hope.
Here's the deal. I would like to watch you two murder each other.
I was just don't make me shoot my friend.
Please.
I'm rooting for him.
Yes, but
I've already spoken my piece. I don't want to do it. I do not want to. More than anything, I don't want to make B shoot me in this context because they've got it a lot worse.
No, I think it's very important to be able to properly balance yourself and be able to.
I don't like this.
Level criticisms, even for things that you like.
B, do you know what it means if we enact High Noon on this show?
Blazer?
No, that's a different show.
That's a different segment in a different show. You do it. I'm sad.
So, Shonen Jumping the Gun, where we have a firearm theme going on. When we are at odds on our thoughts and or feelings on a series, we do High Noon. So we have a duel, a Western style duel. And in High Noon, the idea is that you have to say
the person who was in the upper place who liked it a lot has to say a thing they did not like about it, and the person who did not like it has to say a thing that they have not already said for both of these that they did like about it. And I don't want to shoot you. I do not want to duel you, B. I'm rooting for you. But Brad is standing very confidently over there, and I feel like we cannot get out of this.
I feel like I'd have to shoot myself. I'm not sure if I could say something I don't like about it.
I know. I'm sorry. I don't want to, and I don't want, like, that's why I said it's like me shooting you is not the problem. You having to shoot back at me and thus hit the manga in a sort of, Masanko Sapo special beam cannon moment, like.
But that's the fun of it, because there's basically nothing that's perfect. So
you are. I'm going to bring this back and haunt you at some point in the future.
It's an exercise.
I'm going to fan the hammer into your chest.
It's an exercise in your own biases, counteracting your own biases.
Okay, goodness. So I have to say a thing that I liked that I haven't already said. Which, like, again, I'm usually that's usually this is hard for me, but in this case it's easy. I feel bad for B. I mean, I guess it was. I already said that I like that they're weirdos. I can't say that again. I liked the art part where he's finally figuring out, when the brother finally figures out, like, the whole, like, you're a lefty, and it's like you see all the gears, and it helps sell that idea so much of, like, all of this training he's been doing is finally clicked into place. It wasn't for nothing. It's just the gears were always running and they ran well. They were just never in concert. And now, like the way they say, it's like gears turned that never turned together before. Yeah. And I really liked that as a way of, like, expressing this discovery he had made.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
You got your work cut out for you, B.
Sorry, I'll shoot myself then, B. It's okay.
It's something I didn't say throughout it. Harukaze's personality, like his actual personality, is massively underbaked. Everyone else, you get a really strong feeling about how they feel inside about things. The most you get with him is, I'm pissy because you broke a promise, which isn't a personality, that's just a reaction.
That's perfect. That is a thing that we did not bring up.
You're right.
Probably
that's such
the weakest part of this whole series.
Oh, I'm sorry that you had to shoot me and thus the manga to get there, B. I didn't want it. I didn't want it. I was gonna gloss over it.
Let's keep in mind that is something that can be easily overcome in later chapters.
Yes, and also in counterpoint to it, it can make him a better rival if he's this weird unknowable thing right now.
Yeah.
It makes him more quote unquote hateable.
It could be really awkward when he turns up again in 45 more chapters and hasn't changed at all.
Yes, correct. Yep, that's the joy of the show, where we can go, maybe it'll get better, and we don't know, because technically there's only one chapter we've read.
And 90% of the time it doesn't.
It doesn't. Let's land the plane, because we have to go right back up.
Yeah, I'm going to call that for B.
What?
You're dead.
Oh, I shoot myself.
Yeah. Yours was good, though.
No, but
I'll give you credit.
Theirs was better.
Yeah.
Theirs was better and was done so much more.
I just wanted to watch it happen.
I just wanted to watch it.
It's the joy is I can be very analytically fair to something because I'm such an emotional creature.
But this what I'll do instead is I'll important to you. Why would I shake you over the balcony for this? And I didn't. Brad did.
But this is what I'll do: is I'll take those criticisms and I'll put that in my pocket, and no one has to know.
I'll be paying attention. We'll be rooting. Maybe it was all planned. This 5-dimensional, the regular dimensional chess, because it's a very good storytelling technique.
Just think about how satisfying it will be
when you get to shoot me.
When it turns around and he's got like he's a brocon and like that's why all this is going down.
Oh yeah.
What's that? A psychic strike has just happened. What is brocon? What do you mean? What is that?
Like he's being Sun because he loves his brother. Like he loves his brother.
Oh, okay, because Love His Brother was like, that's boring, but Loves His Brother is like, okay, now I understand why Pain was
So, brocon,
I already understand, you don't need to, okay.
It doesn't
Brocon is a convention where dudes get together.
It doesn't necessarily have to be like romantic
It's subtext.
love.
It's subtext.
But
Can
a
you
lot
feel
of
the
times
crackle?
it
Can you feel the
is,
crackle
so.
of energy? That's all that matters in any of these scenarios.
It's
Nothing,
like, you
nothing
know,
actually has to happen. It's what do you feel it?
Yeah.
Do you feel the electricity? And
every
right
manga
now I don't,
has
but
the
it could.
character where a guy loves his sister too much, and everyone's like, "That's weird."
That's the most popular
I
one,
ran into one of those recently.
which is
Yeah, like that's a siscon.
I don't know
Not to
why
be
people
mistaken
like that.
for.
I don't know why that's a thing.
Everybody who likes that stuff doesn't actually have siblings.
Or
if
is
they
also
do,
a problem. It's also that
yeah.
is a problem in life. But probably the first thing you said.
I think it can be funny though. I do enjoy
it's
when they do
brilliant.
I
in
love
Black
it when the
Clover.
manga
Like, I
very
love Ghosh.
explicitly dunks on them a lot. See the brother in Spy Family, I would say.
it. Yes.
Yes,
Perfect example
He's
of a
constantly
sitcom.
suffering.
Yeah.
I love that he's resistant to poison because he keeps eating a bunch of shitty cooking.
Non-romantic sitcom.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You're
because
right.
it's about obsession. It's
It's obsessive.
because it's all Alita at the end of the day, isn't it? Which it's more about obsession than it is about explicit sexualization. But that is also that.
Their obsession
so it's
is
not a
what's
great
annoying.
example.
What they're obsessed about is also extra annoying and messed up. But mostly it's just they suck because they're annoying and obsessive about a thing they shouldn't be.
All right, let's crash this plane.
Brad, kill me, shoot me, hit me with them plugs, and then B can do plugs or something. I don't remember how this works with the guest.
We'll do some things.
You know what you're doing. You have the script.
No,
Even
I don't.
Even
I
the
have to open
gaffes
it.
are all scripted. This was all we wrote this all ahead of a time.
I
This
did
makes it more
not.
amazing when we recorded the day things.
I did not.
We did not. Oh yeah, I think we kind of said it. Yeah, we recorded this a week later, perfectly 1 week later though. Just to be clear, at the end of the episode.
Before I get into the plugs, which I will fill you full of, I'm going to throw it over to B to do plugs because people are still listening.
That's a good idea. That's very respectful.
That's very good. I have such little stuff to plug at the moment. I'm
It's
so
fantastic.
checked out of the universe. You can find me
good.
on Blue Sky at Let Me Be B. That's Let Me Be as in like Let Me Be, but then be like the bug that flies impossibly.
Be yourself.
Be
Will
yourself.
be linked in the description.
Throw pitch podcast Southpaw.
Yeah. Otherwise, I do research for the Shonen Flop podcast. Find out on shonenflop.com. And again, like head over to that Blue Sky, see my album list. I do a minimum of 5 albums a week onto there. It's over 660 albums right now. Purple Rain is still the best album of all time, which is
recall
fine.
that from
That's the
last
way
time.
things should be. Like it's not really going to get beaten. I put 2 Frank Ocean albums on there, which are the only 2 Frank Ocean albums. I don't know why I felt the need to go and say that like there was going to be more. God, that's good. Good stuff. Listen to some Frank Ocean.
Purple
That's
Rain,
my plug.
that's the one that goes, Purple Rain, some feel dry, but others feel the pain, right?
That is exactly it, and I'm not going to highlight the fact you're mixing up 2 black people.
Damn. What a counter. Not even a counter punch, a counter knife. Just like instant escalation. Caught you wildin'. How do you like your pancreas? It's not there anymore.
I don't know that
There's a
I'd-
big hole there now.
don't
Hey,
think I
that can change your
deserve
pitching
that.
form.
Damn. It's that British wit. It just comes at you all at once, and all of a sudden you're just on the floor bleeding. And you thought you were just having a conversation.
All right. Well, make sure you check out B's stuff. Good stuff on Blue Sky.
Good stuff.
As for us, we want to thank Sugoi Mart for partnering with us. Sugoi Mart's a retailer of Japanese snacks, drinks, toys, and merch. All kinds of cool stuff you can't get outside Japan. Our listeners can click the link in the description or use code APR15 at checkout to get 15% off their first order. And we want to hear from you. So go on our website, animepodcasterreincarnation.com, where you can find links to all of our social media. The best place to get a hold of us is our Discord server. So come on there and chat with us, where B is as well. You can probably coax them out of hiding and ask them questions about old manga.
Absolutely.
You can also find a link up there to our Patreon, where our supporters get perks like bonus episodes, getting the high-quality stereo version of the podcast early, which is the most important for these kind of episodes, as well as getting to vote on what we cover on heroin addiction. And of course, we have to shout out our patrons. So first and foremost, at our noble tier, we have our marquee, Sir Cake Dwarf. At our Reincarnator tier, we've got Moon. And last but not least, at our Commoner tier, we've got Last Man on Earth and Rena. And today,
whoa,
brand new at a Commoner tier,
yo,
we have Laura Carroll.
Excitement.
So thank you so much to all of our patrons.
Thank you. Thank you, patrons. Thank you, Brad, for reading that. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, B, for guesting on here to complete the prophecy when I said when there was a baseball manga, we'd have you back on. Make sure you listen to all the podcasts on our feed. And
take me out of the podcast.
Take me out of my seed. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I haven't eaten, and we're going to record another one after this. So it's root for the hosts now. If they keep going, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, 3 shots, you're at the Shonen Jump.
It's written in katakana, so that doesn't help at all.
Fine.
Yeah, so
I
just
love it.
Harukaze
Even
is how I'd
Japan
say it.
doesn't want me to be confident in saying it.
Confidence is for other people. We're in 2025. This is existential despair hours, baby.
I make my own confidence.
I mean, it's all relative, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I needed it relatively in front of the microphone.
Did you read the manga?
I have to be careful because I got too excited because it's baseball and I read chapter 2.
I figured that was going to happen.
Did you actually read chapter 2?
I did. Well,
Okay,
I mean, I also read
that.
chapter 1.
Well, I mean, no, I just read chapter... Oh, that's a gimmick! One of us reads chapter 1 and the other one reads chapters 2 and 3, and we come together to figure out what the heck's happening.
That is literally jumping the gun.
It's fine. That's a gimmick. Okay. Let me do this intro.
Yeah, I mean, it was that or lead into Pride Month and do a pitcher-catcher thing, but, you know.
There'll be time for that, I think, in one of... I don't remember. I feel like I worked that in somewhere, but I don't remember which summary. I could be wrong.
That should be this one.
Oh, it was this one. No, it was this. It's this intro I'm about to say.
I jumped the gun.
Have fun with it, B.
They're brothers in baseball.
Thank you. I was all I thought about when I started this manga. They're brothers in baseball. We're so done for this episode. This episode's going to be 1 billion hours, and we still got another one. Chapter 1. Cut that and put it after the beeps. Cut to later, and we meet Ibuki Hayama, a recent transfer. What? Did I skip over a bunch?
No, I'm sorry. I'll stick this at the end, but you're cut to later. Cut to later. That's your favorite phrase.
Because it's later.
I know.
And I don't have a visual way of going, like, we don't have like a do-do-do or something, so I have to do it verbally. You're going to see more of them. It's in all of my summaries, obviously. Uh-oh, are we losing them? B, are you still out there? Your video is frozen and I don't hear you anymore.
Oh, no.
They return? Maybe? Oh, I got some frame. Hey!
Interesting.
You're back, I think, hopefully. Oh. Oh, uh-oh. I'm getting a PowerPoint. Technical difficulties.
We didn't know that they turned off the internet in the UK at 11:30.
The king says go to bed, fuckers. They'll be back at some point.
We'll just hang out here until
maybe those baseball games.
Maybe somebody cut the internet cable, the ocean internet cable.
Somebody learned that somebody was... Oh, another Max CP has entered the chat.
How many me's are there now?
Oh,
hello?
No.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, boy, so that was confusing.
What happened?
I have no idea. It just really freaked out because I was being too funny about gutters.
Yep.
So that'll be fun for the edit. I do apologise for that.
Try to kill us. Okay, yes, gutters are real. It's a real term. Yes. Well, he scrolls for the document, for the script that he's already reading, but the other script that he's also reading.
I want to make sure I actually say my correct Blue Sky handle, because I don't know if I changed everything before the last recording or after the last recording, but I know I'm going to fuck it up.
We're an edited thing. Nobody's here live but us chickens. Make sure you listen to all the podcasts on our feed, and I just noticed I didn't figure out an ending bit.
Yeah, you probably should have done that.
I should have done that. I got excited knowing there was going to be the new patron, so I was mostly paying attention to that. How should we end this? I already did my opening. The opening gag was already my thing of I should try.
How to leave? Well, what you do is you go, take me out of the podcast.
I feel like there's a version of that would fit.
Good.
You have to write it
for
first.
A bit of improv, it did the job nicely.
It's just like watching an actual baseball game where it's all a fucking boring mess. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, but it's nice when the person's playing the organ and you're hearing the songs. And you're going, oh, it's the same one as before. They played Apartment. It's a K-pop song, I think. It took me so long to realise it's not Apartment and it's supposed to be the drinking game of Aperture.
I thought it was that they did it at an apartment.
Well, I mean, that is where you.
Or is it like is it a double? Is it a double?
Yeah, like maybe it's a pun and a play on words. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna press this button.
I thought that was all going to go after the beeps. Okay, hit the buttons, and then we have to re-hit the buttons.
Lots of stuff's going after the beeps.